Good day, everyone, and welcome to day 4. Woo, 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 woo. How excited are you? And I don't know. This has been a crazy morning. Won't get into it right now. You can actually go to my Facebook profile page and see that little update. But it's been a great week. I am so excited for you and for the opportunity for you to invest in you, to really work on what it is that you want to be doing and want to be achieving. At the same time, working on those things that will really turn you into a massive producer, a revenue generator, and an abundance creator. And that's what today's subject is going to be all about. It's hacks, it's strategies, it's tips, it's tools, and it's things that you may not even have considered yet. And yet, if you want to really elevate, whether that's 5 figures to 6 figures, which is the majority of those of you who have registered and are joining in, or if you're even looking to, kind of master the 6 to 7 figure arena, or you just want to have the tools and the strategies and the mindset to do what it is that you need to do to overcome what it is you need to overcome, and to really be the beauty and the powerhouse maverick you are meant to be. And I just absolutely am honored to be able to share even a little bit of what I do, what I've experienced, what I have found, both from my own journey over the many years, in both work and life, as well as my clients, even those that reach out to me and haven't yet become clients, or my friends and colleagues or peers or family members. I'm just wanting to be able to share all of life's lessons, successes, failures, best practices, and things that you're going to be able to use right now and each and every day in your life. And that's what I'm all about. I always say it's not a woohoo, it's a how-to. So if you agree with that and you're there, please share with me kind of what you're doing, what you're up to. Let me know where you might be tuning in from. And be sure, one last reminder about StreamYard. They require you, in order for me to see your comments, they require you to approve that. Okay, so be sure to kind of click the link that's right here in the Facebook stream on this live posting, just so I don't miss anything. All right. So let me know how you're doing and what you're up to, and what are you taking away, and or what did you want to take away? Now, keep in mind too, all of the videos, if you haven't been able to meet us live today or all week, all the videos are in the guide section on your Facebook page. And you will have till at least Tuesday in order for you to be able to go back to that repository and catch up on all of the videos and all the replays and all the video contests. And I would stress that even though we are leading our way up to a big Saturday bang of, awarding someone a $10,000 business mentorship and coaching engagement with me, these video contests are also just a fun way for you to kind of declare, own, and kind of commit to what it is that you're working so hard to achieve. So, I've been giving you like very simple exercises to do via a video post, or if you wanted to, a written post, that then you could be winning prizes. And I've shared with you that, we have Amazon gift cards, and we have the Hero's Journal. We have my own Shift to Riches journal and copies of my book, Shedding the Corporate Bitch, along with Amazon gift card and that $10,000 scholarship. So you investing in you doing work, you putting in place the foundational elements, the core of what it means to be an entrepreneur, be a business owner, and have a business is what we've been discussing all week long. So be sure that if you haven't had the opportunity to watch each and every one of the videos, go back into the guide section, pull down the worksheets. Every day's worksheet is going to lead you up to a completed workbook by the time we're done. And hold on to that because you can use it at any point in time. And it will include, and it has so far, but it will also include in the addendums at the end of our last session, you'll then have a completed workbook, which also includes templates that you can download, make copies of, or save it, online. And you could be using a goal planning template, a victory planning template, a checklist around your traits of highly successful people, and including our discussion today. You'd be able to make note and have an idea of these tools and strategies we're going to talk about and how you can be using them each and every day. All right. So go back to your guides and find the videos and the worksheets, and catch up, and or just be sure to leverage them throughout the weekend into first thing Tuesday morning. Okay. Because then what I will touch on as we finish up today and then over the next couple of days is, then if you're thinking like, wow, I'm learning so much. There's so much more I need to learn. She's talked about accountability partners. She's talked about having, tools, strategies, habits, disciplines, routines put into place. She's talking about building that foundation that I need to have both in my business and my life in order to be a true, entrepreneur / CEO, to really have an empowered mindset, to be able to really confidently pursue and achieve everything that I want. And you're saying to yourself, I could use more of that. I could use more of that guidance, that support, that motivation, that one-on-one coaching and mentoring, that group coaching and mentoring, that opportunity to, kind of ask a question and get it answered from me, not from anybody else. And so you might be saying, wow, how can I kind of continue this after these 5 days, 6 days with the bonus session on Saturday? How can I continue this? And so I'll share some more details about it at the end of this session and over the next couple of days. But our Discover You Jumpstarter is meant to do just that for you over 3 months, to have that one-on-one with me, to have that group with other like-minded Powerhouse Mavericks like yourself, and to have the training, to have the collaboration, to have the oversight, to have the input to what it is you're doing, to have the accountability, all the things that are definitely going to provide you in a very different way than many programs that are out there that, put you onto a group of hundreds and you're like desperately trying to get your specific and your personal issues addressed. And I want to be able to give you that one-on-one along with that group masterminding, so you get the richness of all of it. And that'll just help you even accelerate that much faster and that much more confidently, but also very results oriented, for you to be, actually achieving what it is that you've set out to do over a 30-day, 60-day, or the full 90 days or beyond. All right. So our Discover You Jumpstarter will be kicking off a week from Monday, giving you time to, get onboarded and whatnot. And we'll talk about that as we go more and more. But in the meantime, should you be saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, I do want to learn more now. I do want to kind of ask Bernadette some questions and see what this is all about. Then certainly you can always go make note of this website now, or my calendar now. And between Deborah and myself, we'll be looking out for your scheduled meetings and a coaching call that you're going to walk away with tips and strategies, while at the same time you're going to walk away with all of your questions answered in regards to how can you be supported? How can you really have that network of individuals that are, solely focused on what it is you're working on and what it is you're trying to achieve. Okay. So feel free to make note of that and schedule that at any point in time. Okay. But today we are talking about turning you into a massive producer and revenue generator and even an abundance creator. And just like what we've talked about all week, to do that, we need to give you some foundational but very powerful tools for you to embed in your everyday, Miss CEO, embed in your everyday in order to really understand whether or not you're making progress, whether or not you're making the right decisions, whether or not you're working on the right things at the right time, whether or not you are being productive and effective with how you're managing your time and how you're managing others' time. So I want to walk through some powerful tools and strategies that you'll be able to start using. And if you already are, I might have a twist for you. Like all week long, I put a twist to the highly successful traits. I put a twist to the vision that you'd be developing for yourself within your victory plan. I put a twist to the SMART methodology and made it SMARTY. And you'll have to go back to those videos to understand what I mean. And I want to put a twist on some of the kind of the basic and the standard tools and strategies people have out there for making you as productive as possible, helping you get unstuck. But there's a couple of them that you might not be familiar with. So I want to provide time for you to really understand that. Okay. Now, but first, to really get grounded in this discussion, what I really want to hit home with you on is this idea. It's called the Pareto rule. And this idea or concept or proven formula that 80% of your outcomes actually come from only 20% of your output. So, which basically says that, that laundry list of to-dos you have. And even with my, suggesting to you to cull it down, into your top 3 and then prioritize those. The reason why is because there's only 20% of that to-do list that you have that is needed for you to be focused on to generate 80% of the results that you want. So let's combine that statistic with another statistic I gave you over the last couple of days. And that being that when you share and have an accountability partner, you increase the probability of you being successful by 85%. So if you take into account those traits of highly successful people, of having an accountability partner, sharing, having both business and life goals, writing their goals down, having a vision, knowing exactly what they want, you take all of that and you understand that, okay, that accountability and that sharing, that writing of my goals is going to, give me an 85% probability of me achieving my goals. Then add to the fact that you only need to be working on 20% of that to-do list to achieve 80% of your outcomes. Well, heck, why wouldn't you put the habits, routines, disciplines, processes, and procedures and systems in place in order for you to achieve that? Because right there, I don't know about you, but can anybody raise their hand to say, sorry, I went right past you, to say that, yeah, that gives you great relief. Yeah, that makes you kind of breathe deeper. Yes, that gives you a lot of calm and peace. It may not, necessarily prove anything to yourself right now. You might not feel, 100% confident or certain that it would work for you. But at the same time, with all of that, wouldn't you just simply be able to at least take a breath and say, you know what? If I even, try this for a full week, what Bernadette is suggesting, is recommending, is coaching you on, then that would be, that could prove to me that I can be a massive producer, that I can generate revenue and create abundance, that I can, find that certainty, that focus, that clarity, that determination, that energy. I can find that confidence in myself, that I can overcome, that I can work through problems, that I can, find the solutions to any obstacle that's in front of me. And because that's my goal, that's my objective. That's what I want for you. I want for you to put the things in place that takes away all that anxiety, that overwhelm, that feelings of being stuck. Even for those of you who are working to elevate your business from 5 to 6 figures, some of the reasons that you give me for that, that temporary stickiness, being able to break through that 5 to 6, 100% of it is mind, is what's going on between your 2 ears. But what is going on between your 2 ears is concern that you won't be able to handle it. You won't be able to handle the workload, the client base, the things that need to be done in order to handle what might come with breaking through from 5 to 6 figures. Many of you express, and this has happened in many group coaching sessions over the last several weeks, many of you express that not only that you might not be able to handle it, but what if you took on all of these new clients and all this new business and they found out that you really don't know what you're doing? Now, you know what you're doing, right? You know what you're doing, but what you're telling yourself is, that you're a fraud, that imposter syndrome, that doubting, that, oh my gosh, do I really have the skills and the talent and the expertise and the experience that I need to actually show up and be of value to my customers, whether that's a product or a service that you're providing. And so many of you start getting in your head in regards to that. So all of these foundational but very powerful strategies, tools, techniques that we're going to be talking about, and we have been talking about, is meant to give you that certainty and that confidence. All right? Because what I'd rather you do is not only work smart by finding that 20% that's going to have the biggest value and impact to generating that 80% of outcome, but what I really want you to be able to do even initially is to delete or delay the bulk of what it is that's on that to-do list that you are keeping yourself busy with. It's just busy work. You're working on everything and not just something. And I want you to open up time on your calendar, in your heart, in your head, in your breath, to then work on the more strategic, the more revenue generating, abundance creating activities. So that's the objective of everything, because then you'll have the freedom. You'll have the feeling of, I won't lose the quality of my life if I continue to grow my business. I won't lose quality of life because I will have structured and managed and organized my day, my team, my work in such a way that, I can continue growing without being overwhelmed. All right. So who would like to have less sanity or less insanity, less overwhelm, less stress, less doubt, less insecurity, less questioning yourself, less not believing in yourself, and just know that all you need to do maybe is make a few tweaks into your, day in, day out work routine habits and disciplines, and you could be on your way to creating what it is you have been, kind of aching for. All right. So that's what we want to accomplish today. Excuse me. All this talking. I should tell you, I once, as a little digression, so I can get some water in my throat. I've always had a very deep, husky voice. And when I was 10 or 11, I was babysitting a little blonde head, beautiful little girl around the corner from my house. I don't know how old she was. Maybe I was actually 12 or 13. Do you even babysit at 10 or 11? Maybe I was 12 or 13. And she was maybe 6 or 7. She looks up at me. Bernadette, do you have a frog in your throat? And I have never, ever, ever, ever forgotten that, because even at that age, I had this very deep, husky voice that got me in trouble a lot. But anyway, I digress. We're talking hacks and strategies for turning you into a massive producer. And a shout out. Let me know you're out there. Let me know what questions you have, whether you're watching live or you come in and watch the replay. Don't hesitate to put, comments below, and I'll continue to look to see if you need anything. All right. Also, I want to make sure that if you don't have the worksheet, here's where you can get the worksheet. All right. Simply go to 5daygoalstoriches.com/day4 worksheet. It should also be published out there already in this post. And if it's not, then I'll get that address, but make a note of it here. Okay. If you are also receiving reminders and emails, you should have had and received it there as well. All right. Let's get into these, into this discussion. So we're talking and keeping in mind the Pareto rule. Because again, I don't know about you, but if I knew I only had to work on 20% of my to-do list to get 80% of the results, I would certainly figure out how to do that, right? Because that's going to free up time, free up headspace, and just free up overwhelm. And I want you to be thinking about on your own and come to your own conclusion what you think you need to be doing in order to ensure that you're only working on those 20% of items that'll give you 80% of your results. Okay. And you're going to probably, when I share with you a couple of them, of these hacks we're going to discuss, you're probably going to say, it always comes back to the same thing. It always comes back to goals. And you know what? You're right. It always comes back to goals. Because remember what we've talked about the last few days. Highly successful people make sure that they have goals. They have business life goals. They have them written down, right? And yet 92% of you don't. 92% of you don't. Only 3% of you actually have them written down and you execute them on, you execute on them each and every day. So you have to wonder, and I want you to think about, and I want you to say if it's true or not, that the very small percentage of individuals, think about when they always say, the economists always say, it's always the 1%. There's this 1% of individuals that make up like 99% of the GDP. Okay. And so that's, the world, revenue number, 99%, they own it. 1% of them. Why do you think it's only 1% that have extreme success? And then remember what I told you at the beginning of the week, and I'll remind you so you can make note of it as well here. The fact that 90% of business owners across the United States earn under $100,000. 90% of business owners earn under $90,000. Of that 95%, of that 90%, 65% of them earn under $45,000. So there's a good chance, and there's no judgment at all, that many of you participating, watching this challenge are in that 65% earning under $45,000 or that 90% earning under $100,000. Why do you think that is? If you think about it and be very honest with your own situation of why you think that is, I will put a stamp on the fact that it's probably because you don't have your goals laid out, but more importantly, you don't use them as a tool in your business each and every day. Okay. So the first hack I want to share with you, I call it the riches generation management. And why I call it this is because it's what is going to help you create the riches you want in both your work and your life. And it's all centered around goals. Okay. Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day to do whatever it is that we want to be doing, achieving whatever it is we want to be achieving. Okay. Yet, like I said, very few people are kind of, breaking through that $100,000 mark or finding themselves in that very small percentage, even the 8% or the 8% who have written goals and the 3% who have written goals and they're writing them down. Obviously, very few people work their way into having the disciplines, routines, and habits and traits that will move them into that space. When it's just as simple as you ensuring that you have your goals well laid out and then you're using them each and every day. So if you've ever questioned, like, oh my gosh, I work so hard and I'm doing all of these different things, and yet this person over here who doesn't seem to be working at all is so far ahead of me, or so far more successful, or has such a much bigger following, or, has all of these great programs that have thousands of people that are attending them or buying their product or whatever the case might be. So why am I not creating the same type of results that they are? We all have the same 24 hours in a day. Well, the only answer to that is they're using their 24 hours very differently than you are. They're using their day very differently than you are. So ensure that your 24 hours is focused on generating the results that you want. And the only way you're going to generate those results is by taking action. To generate results, you have to take action. Would you agree with that? To generate results, you have to take action. Now, in order to then know what it is and to address the Pareto rule and to kind of like be excited that I only need to be focused on 20% of my to-do list to generate the 80% of the results that I want from the actions that I take, that comes down to you ensuring that you are going about your day with attention and priority. So that's attention and priority. So you're paying attention to what it is you need to be working on in order to generate the results that you want. And you need to be prioritizing that workload, whatever that, that list is now that you've deemed to be vital to you achieving your goals. You need to put priority against that list. So it's attention and priority will help you generate results through taking action. And we talked about on Monday the fact that highly successful people ensure that they're planning and taking action constantly and consistently. Okay? Planning and taking action constantly and consistently. So yes, we talk about goals a lot. And any coach or any consultant out there helping you establish your business, let alone grow it and enrich it and take it to where you want it to go, needs you to be focused on the foundational platform that you need in order to be focused, energized, and confident each and every day, to have the tools for you to put attention and priority to the actions that you're going to be taking, to be able to then make the decisions that then will dictate you being able to generate that 80% of the results from only 20% of the work that you have listed out on your long list of to-dos. Okay. So the Riches Generation Management hack or tool is meant to really have you ensure that not only do you have your victory plan that we talked about on Tuesday, you turn that vision into your goals that we talked about yesterday, your SMARTY goals that we talked about yesterday. And now the Riches Generation Management has you taking those goals and putting a discipline in place to where you have these yearly goals. You break them into quarter, break them into a month, take that month, break it down to a week, and then just focus on that week. And as you're focusing on that week, each and every day, you have this list of the absolute must-haves that you need to be working on, the 20% to generate the 80% of your weekly goal action list. And then on a daily basis, you're picking 3 of the most vital, most valuable actions to be taken. And of those 3, you're putting attention and priority to them. You're saying, okay, so of these 3 that I just deemed to be the most valuable and to have the biggest impact on generating the results I want for my weekly goal, there's no such thing as 2 number 1 priorities. So accepting that is important for those multitaskers out there, for your sanity and for your peace of mind and for your lack of overwhelm. You need to agree that there is no 2 number 1 priorities. All right. You can't work on 2 things at once. Yes, you might be able to chew gum and walk at the same time, but when it comes to you effectively and productively working on something in your business that's going to contribute to your end result, you can't work on two things at once. Now, can you work on, one thing and then you're at a point where you have a dependency and therefore there's nothing more that you can do? So now you're going to kind of move that aside and work on this other thing? Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's not working on two things at the same time. Can you be working on something and, you have your email up, you have your Facebook up, you have your Twitter up, and you're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth? Sure, you can do that. How's it working for you? Is what I would ask as your coach. How's it working for you? How attentive, how focused, how clear, how effective are you being in completing that one task as you're deciding to get purposely distracted and to avoid and to delay because you prefer to be doing these other things that are much more comfortable and much more, simple than the work that you have in front of you. Okay. But before we get there, I just merely want you to focus on right now around this riches generation management. I want you to focus on the fact that you have these goals. You're going to use these goals each and every day. So I even mentioned in the Hero's Journal, let me grab it real quick. I even mentioned in this Hero's Journal that they lay out the opportunity, and I do this as well in my own little journal, but it has an opportunity for you to lay out what is your goal, your big goal, and then your weekly goal, and then what are the three things that you need to do to achieve that goal. So it's on the same premise, is always focus, attention, and priority on the most valuable things, so you can only work on 20% of the things that are going to give you 80% of the results. Okay, so goal, top three actions, prioritize those top three actions, and then work on only the first priority of those three until finished or until at a point where you have a dependency. And therefore you have to kind of put it aside and then work on something else. The biggest challenge you guys have, many of you have, is just merely staying focused, okay, staying on point. And I'm hoping that I expect, because many of my clients do, I'm expecting that you implementing any of these hacks and strategies into your everyday will amp up your focus and your clarity and your productivity and ultimately your results. All right. So the first one being your riches generation management. But let me share a story about Bruce. And it just so happens I introduced you to Carol all week long. And it just so happened Carol was in the same boat. Bruce I worked with for a number of years, about 7 or 8 years ago, whereas Carol's recent. So, but both of them, when they came to me, had a major issue with that to-do list that they had. And so Bruce, though, took it to an extreme that I had never seen from anybody, even Carol, who had a pretty robust to-do list. But Bruce, it was a yellow legal pad that he shared with me that he uses to track, his to-dos, what it is that he needs to be working on. Like Carol, he didn't have any goals in place. The goals were all in his head. He had a number. He's in the financial world. So he had a number and he had even a roster of clients and the growth that he wants there. But that was basically about it. But even when he had those things, and when it came to him executing against those goals, he was still getting overwhelmed. He was still getting kind of out of time. And he was still getting stressed out that he still was struggling to reach his mark. Very much like Carol. So both of them, I sent through an exercise of this 80-20. All right, I want you to pull out only those things that are going to have direct impact to your results. But Bruce's list was actually like 3 yellow legal pad pages long, because I asked him to, tell me everything that he typically has to do within a week. I would say a good 65-70% of it was personal versus business. So when it came to both of them, Bruce and Carol, really being able to turn themselves into massive producers, let alone revenue generators, we had to work on stripping away, close to all of that 65%. Carol wasn't that high. Carol was maybe 25, 30%. And she continues to look at her list and say, okay, is this going to generate revenue for me? Whether it's a quantitative, point in time, or it's right now a qualitative, because maybe it's branding or maybe it's marketing, something that's going to take time to convert. And so with Carol, we just sit there and we ask very diligent questions that she answers to kind of get her down to really focusing and prioritizing and paying attention to those things that are most important. So that's all about, riches generation management. Okay. Now this one, you definitely want your pad and paper, revenue generation management. So another big challenge that many of you have is that you're working on things that are not just only not valuable, but they're things you should not be working on. If you are the main revenue generator, if you're the main source of being able to present, sell, and close, not necessarily the tactical steps for doing that, but if you're the voice and the face and the expertise behind what it is that you're selling, whether it's a product or service, then you absolutely need to only be doing the work, not even just focusing, doing the work that is going to give you that revenue that you've targeted for yourself. Especially if you want to break through 5 to 6 figures, you need to start only doing those things that are revenue generating, and you need to delegate, delete, or delay anything that doesn't fit. But how do you make the decisions to do that? That's what the question that many, many, many of you ask is, okay, but how do I make those decisions? So that's what revenue generation management is all about. And here's a simple formula. So write this down. So we need to have you get an understanding of what your hourly value is. All right. Because your hourly value, what you're putting out there, whether it's a product or a service, by the way, is then going to determine and help you make decisions about where your time should be spent versus someone else's. Now, I know there's many of you right now going, well, I don't have any money to put into, hiring someone to do something. Well, hold on there. Okay. Because that is a top concern of a good majority, if not all of you, is I don't have the money. So, which, by the way, is a very limiting belief that I want you to stop using. But we'll talk about that all tomorrow. Okay. Words matter. We'll talk about that tomorrow with the Shift to Riches formula. But for right now, I want you to understand this revenue generation formula for how you determine what your time is worth, and therefore how that can help you make decisions about what you need to delegate, delay, or delete, and even do. Okay. So the formula is based on the fact that there's, we're going to use the average 40-hour work week, 40 hour work week, 52 weeks of the year. Take a couple weeks off of there for vacation. And it roughly turns out to be around 2,080 hours there are in the year for you to generate your revenue goal. Okay. And every one of those hours count, because as soon as you diminish or lose one of those hours, then you're going to have to increase your hourly value to still hit that target that you have. But before we get there, so you have 2,080 hours. Now, we're going to make the math simple. Say your target is to generate revenue of $100,000, right? You want to break through. Let's make it 101. Well, 101. So say that's your target for the year, and you have 2,080 hours to achieve it. So you divide 2,080 hours into $100,000, and you come to roughly $48 something. And let's make it 50 to make it simple. So now your hourly value is $50 in order to generate that 100,000. And keep in mind now that every hour that is put to something else, put to something that's not revenue generating, put to something that's, due to you being overwhelmed or stuck or frustrated or unsure or doubting yourself. Every hour you take away from this 2,080 hours, which is calculating to $50 an hour, every hour that goes away, you're going to have to then increase that hourly value, because in order to still have that $100,000 target, you're going to have to make up for those lost, wasted hours. Okay. So $50 an hour. Now, that number should be used for you to make decisions on what you should be doing or what you should be delaying, deleting, or delegating. Is that $50? So say you are going to work on developing products and services. Well, that's going to, kind of contribute to you generating $50. So you might put that time there because it'll be worth that $50 if you came up with a product or service. Not to say someone else couldn't do it, but maybe you're the expert and therefore you need to do it. So that's time that you should leave on your list. Okay. But say it's social media, and social media in such a way that it's more the tactical element of it. Not only generating the posts, you may feel you need to do that, but even posting them, even scheduling them, even managing the results and doing the analysis, and ensuring that they're out there on the, daytime that you want to put them there. Maybe it's the graphic design of those post images, or, of any form of content. All right. That you don't need to be a part of. Well, you can certainly hire that out for less than $50 an hour. You can hire that out at $10 an hour, $15 an hour on Fiverr. You can hire that out at $20 to $30 on Upwork, or, your own personal person. You can hire that all the way up even to, the high 40s, mid to high 40s with a, formal agency type of person. But the objective here is the fact that you can hire that out and still have a profit margin if you're using that time to now work on the revenue generating work to create that $50 or more. See where I'm going here? And now you're saying to yourself, well, I don't have the money to hire the people. This is where you just need to get creative. Okay. Here are some strategies to get creative. You can hire someone as an intern that you can get very inexpensively. You can get students or people that want to learn a new craft, and therefore you can hire them, as an intern. You can hire a student. You can hire a beginner and not get that high quality one. You can go to the Fivers and the Upworks and negotiate in order to get something, as least expensive as you can. Cautioning, you get what you pay for, but you can, ensure that each and every week or month, however you're paid, you're putting a percentage of it aside in order to then be able to use those funds, no matter how small or big they are, for you to be able to hire out people. Okay. So putting that aside, you say, okay, well, I can't. Well, then you have to decide, is the priority and the need going to, be critical for me to do it myself or to hire it out, or do I delay it or delete it from my list? And there's some, activities, including social media. Maybe it's profiles of your social media. Instead of trying to be everywhere, you decide that you're going to focus in one space. And therefore that's saving you time and even money, because remember, time is money. So you might think, oh, well, you doing it is not costing you anything. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because you're not working on revenue generating activity. You're working on tactical work, non-CEO, non-business owner work. All right. Revenue generation management gives you that simple formula to then be able to make decisions. And let me give you a fast example of where like Bruce was definitely suffering from this, but even Carol, but not as much, but Bruce definitely was. Well, he had 3 pages, legal pages, full of activities that he was doing in any given week. And 65% of it was personal. Well, a good amount of it was things like dry cleaning, landscaping, picking up prescriptions for his parents, things like that. And I would say, well, Bruce, now again, this was, 6, 7 years ago. It's very different now. You can have groceries delivered, dry cleaning delivered, prescriptions delivered, so forth and so on. Very different world right now. But a big example is landscaping. So he would do his own landscaping, and he chose to do it. I think I forget what specific day, but it was a work day when his clients were available. And I said, you could pay. And he had a decent, I should say, a decently small yard, but he had a small yard. So he didn't have a tremendous amount. And that's why he thought, well, I'll do it myself. But it was taking him still a couple of hours. And so I said, well, you could, definitely hire that out. And his hourly value was much higher than $50. I said, you can hire that out very easily and save yourself that time and frustration and anxiety, because I did the same thing. You can definitely hire that out, and then you won't feel so guilty or overwhelmed being that you're not generating the revenue in your business that you should be. See? So you need to really be smart. You're CEOs of your business. I don't care if you have one person, which is you, or you have 100. You're the CEO. You need to be smart about the decisions that you're making and where you're putting your time. And the revenue generation management hack or strategy provides you that simple formula to say, I need to look at this list, and I need to start making smarter decisions about where I'm putting my time and where I can delegate my time elsewhere, or delete it or delay it, because maybe I don't need it right now. Okay. And I'm telling you, you will gain a sense of pure freedom as a result of that. Now, opportunity cost management ties right on in on this. So now thinking, you refused, you kind of were stubborn, saying, I don't have any money to hire out, contract out my social media. And my social media takes, a good 4 or 5 hours a week. And maybe it's the weekend, which you think, oh, well, I'm not losing anything because it's the weekend. Yes, you are. You're losing time, with your family, with your friends, with yourself. If your work week is Monday through Friday, if you want any type of life, because remember, what you're telling me is you're even worried about going to 6 figures for lack of freedom, feeling that you're not going to be able to handle it, and losing quality of life. Well, you're making those decisions. You're deciding that you're going to suffer with those things or lack of those things, because you're giving up that time for you to be able to do things that you could be delegating out. But opportunity cost, let's go there. So you spend 4 to 5 hours a week on social media. So opportunity cost comes down to understanding what opportunity and what the value of that opportunity is that you're losing because you're doing activities that you should be farming out to someone else. So let me dig into that a little deeper. If you're spending 4 or 5 hours of social media a week, over a month, that's 16 hours, right? And you could have spent 10, 15, let's say $20. $20, 16. Oh, I picked a number that isn't coming right to my head. But 16 times 2 is what, 32? Okay, so 16 times 2. So you're losing 32 hours that you could be spending working on something else. No, I totally messed that up. I'm sorry, just because of my math. So, so 16 hours you spend a month working on social media, which your value is $50 an hour. Okay. So yeah, I came up with a number that I want. So you take 16 hours times it by 50. All right. So that would be 80. And therefore you're losing 800. So you're losing $800 in opportunity cost, because you're choosing to use that 16 hours to do work you could be, putting out to someone else. Make sense? Now, of course, it's going to be the profit margin. So your hourly value is 50. You're going to spend $20 on social media. So you're giving up $30 an hour of that 16 hours of revenue you could be generating, because you're not having someone else do it. You're doing it. So really consider kind of not only the fact that you think you're saving yourself time by doing it yourself, but what is that opportunity cost you're giving up? Okay. And be sure that you're prioritizing and putting attention to the activities that will ensure that opportunity cost that you're losing is very small. But let me just go back to make sure that was clear, since I fumbled through it with my math. Okay, so we were talking about the fact that your hourly value is 50. We got that nailed down. There's 16 hours a month you're spending on social media that you could spend, let's say $20 an hour, by giving it to somebody else. So that's where the $320 you would spend a month to replace that 16 hours you're giving up. So there's a cost or an investment, I'd like to look at it, of $320 for you to be able to have someone do your social media every month. Because if you don't, then that 16 hours times $50 of your time is $800. Okay? $800 of time you're giving up in revenue because you choose to do it yourself. And that net profit of 800 less the 320, so that would be 580, is what opportunity cost you're losing each month as long as you're doing it yourself. Okay? So just consider that and work through it for yourself. All right. The next one would be the productivity profile, a productivity profile. I love this. And the reason why I love this is because a lot of you don't really know how you operate. Yes, you operate. Yes, you go from 1 minute to the next minute, one day to the next day. You're doing things, but you're really not paying attention. You're really not conscious of how you work best, where you work best, when you work best, what distracts you, what gets in your way, what energizes you, what supports you, what means of communication work best for you. How do you like to be managed or not managed? How do you like to be communicated to or not communicated to? How do you like to be led or to lead? So the productivity profile is all a series of questions that you could be asking yourself in order for you to really gain a good understanding of how you operate, and then make changes and decisions and restructure your day, your environment, your work schedule all around that profile that you've just defined of yourself. So it's questions like, when am I the most energized? You might want to write these down. When am I the most energized? When am I the most drained? Where do I like to work the most? Where am I most effective working? Is that with a team, like with people, surrounded by people? Or is that on your own? Is that in your house, or is that in an office? Is that I'm drawing a blank. But okay, so what energizes you? What drains you? Where do you like to work? In what type of environment? Are you an individual person, or are you one that wants to be surrounded by a team? I was going to say, is it somewhere that's kind of loud and busy and active, not just with people, but is live and busy and active? Or is it something that's more subdued and quiet? Very different than being surrounded by people or not surrounded by people, because you could be surrounded by people, but the music isn't playing and there isn't a lot of activity around you. So there's a great difference between, like, even remote working spaces. There's one brand out there that's very loud and very busy, very, get you overstimulated, and it attracts very, much younger people than at least me. And then there's this other one that's very kind of formal and polished and, I don't want to say professional, but, it's just very more corporate. And therefore that's my type of world, but there's there's tons that like this other type of world. So, where do you like to work? When do you like to work? So when is, Are you best in the morning, or are you best in the evening? Are you best doing sales in the morning, or are you best doing that later in the afternoon? Are you best doing administrative work, at the beginning of the week or the end of the week? Are you best working with clients in the middle of the day, at the end of the day? What is distracting you? What is getting in your way of distractions? Is it, the fact that you have telephone and email and Facebook and Twitter and all your social media, and you have people running around, you have kids in the house. You don't have a door on your office. You're using a table in the middle of your house or workspace. All of this information, all of these questions you want to be asking yourself in order for you to then be able to say, how do I need to set my life up, let alone my office environment, my schedule, my literally my working space, not your desk per se, but even, whether or not you have your phone with you, or you have a calculator, or you have your computer, you have certain tabs up, or you shut them down, you turn off notifications, turn off any alarms, so forth and so on. So you really getting an idea of how you work best and in what environments is really valuable for you being able to, whether you're working at home with everything going on right now, or we get back to normal and you now have an idea of what kind of situation, what kind of setup you want to be in. Okay. So that would be that. And then time blocking. Time blocking is very much leveraging all that information in your productivity profile of when and where and how you work best, and structuring your calendar with all of those activities in the time blocks that work best for you. And that could be the fact that you're only going to work with clients certain days of the week on certain time blocks. You're only going to make calls from a sales perspective, on certain hour blocks of certain days of the week. You're going to ensure that you have your time for a walk, or your break, or your, administrative, or your writing, whatever the case might be. So time blocking is really identifying all that information from your productivity profile and blocking it out on your calendar just as seriously as you would a doctor's appointment or a kid's PTA appointment, or whatever the case might be, and holding yourself to those time blocks to ensure that you are getting the time dedicated to those 1 to 3 items per day that you're working on. All right. And of course, life happens. So at the end of the day, you want to look at whether or not your plan, and your time blocks were effective or not. And if not, where are you from that completing that 1 to 3 items on your list, and adjusting what your next day might need to look like as a result of what happened today. But time blocking is a massively valuable tool for you to be able to use in order for you to get yourself organized, get yourself focused, and massively produce. And along with your goals and your action plans, putting, priority and attention to them, along with your revenue generation, hourly value, along with the opportunity cost calculation, along with your productivity profile. Those are tools and strategies you could be using in your business right now to really amp up your results. Okay. And really work toward breaking through that barrier. Plus, it will give you that confidence and that certainty that you're working on the right things at the right time for the right purpose and the right reasons. And that's most important. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, if you're finding that some of the things that we're talking about are really resonating and hitting, but you're saying to yourself, well, I'm not really sure how to go about all of this. Well, plan a call with me and let's discuss kind of where you are and where you're going, where you want to go, and even whether or not our Discover You Jumpstarter, which again is a 3-month individual coaching 101 with group coaching, and it's training and it's flash coaching and it's resources and videos and templates, just a whole set of a complete support system for you in order for you to really lay down the foundations that you want in your business, but at the same time, take those actions that will allow you to achieve your goals that you've laid out for yourself. Okay. So, take a look at that link below and get on my calendar, and I will be very honored to have a conversation with you in regards to all of it. And then tomorrow we get into our Shift to Riches formula, 5 steps for you to shift to riches, have that CEO empowered mindset that will allow you to achieve anything that you've laid out for yourself. Okay. And, one last thing. I almost forgot. We don't want to do that. One last thing is the video contest. $10,000 of business mentoring and coaching is being given away on Saturday. So share the one hack that we discussed today that you say to yourself, this is going to have a great impact on my business and in my life. What is that one thing that you heard from today's session that can really get you in the game, put you on the court, as they say, and share it with us. Look for this post that is right out there right now on our Powerhouse Maverick Shift to Riches Facebook page, and be sure to post it, and then even share it with other individuals. Let us all help each other, help you really create the riches in your life and your work that you want. All right. So until tomorrow, bye.